to our new podcast. This is Who's Got the Ball. So, my name is James. I'm from Ireland, and I'm going to be doing this podcast with my friend and co-host Shane. So, Shane, want to introduce yourself?
Hi lads, I'm Shane. I'm from Limerick in Ireland, and just looking forward to getting this going with James weekly, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, that's it, man. So, basically, I'm going to quickly explain the podcast, right? So, it's going to be it's going to be focused on three sports. So, we're going to focus on the NFL, soccer, or football, whatever you want to call it, and the NBA. So the idea is that every week we're going to do focus on one team and one player from each sport. So we're going to take it in turns to either do a team or a player from that sport. So we're going to work through those sports segments. We also have a few games in there. So they might change as time goes, depending on how each one pans out. But we have a couple of good ideas. We'll introduce some tea later on the episode, and then we're going to have a multi-sport power rankings. So we're going to go through two teams from each of the sports. So two from the NBA, two from the NFL, and we're going to do two from the English Premier League so as not to make it like a bit convoluted or something like that by putting in like multiple leagues and just that just leads to too much drama. So we're going to do two from each and we're going to rank them one to six. And we're going to see who each has. So we don't know who each other has, and we don't know who each other has done for the other game, which we'll chat about later. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole idea of the podcast. We wanted to just do something a little bit different. I don't think there's many podcasts just focusing on these three sports alone. Kind of popular enough sports. Obviously, the NFL is growing in Ireland. The NBA is a popular sport, not as much so in Ireland, but hopefully it will grow in the future because it's such a great sport. Basketball in general, obviously, but the NBA is what we're focusing on here. Again, we don't want to get into college stuff. We want to keep focused on what we're doing. Otherwise, you're just covering way too much. So there's that. And then with football, we will focus mostly on the Premier League, but we will talk about European games in the Champions League, Europa League, stuff like that. If that's what we want to in that week, and obviously the Irish national team as well, which yeah, we'll try to steer away from that as much as possible. So what we're gonna do is start with the NFL. So this week I've taken a player and Shane has taken a team. So Shane, if you want to go first, I'll let you go straight into your team and basically tell me what's the crack for this week.
Perfect.
What do you
So
think?
I'm going to have a bit of a pop off the Minnesota Vikings, if that's okay with you, James.
Of
Um,
course, man.
I think the Vikings have shown that their season was a small bit of a fluke. Like a team to come out of the season with 14 wins with Sam Darnold as a quarterback. They were always going to blow up in the playoffs. Sam Darnold, like you can take the man out of the Jets, but you cannot take the Jets out of the man. He was just so bad on Sunday night. Nine sacks allowed, threw an interception. His main target, Justin Jefferson, he only went from 8 times. He caught five of them. Like if you're not aiming for your best man on a night like that, where you were really struggling from the off, and you're not aiming for your best man, you're really like you're just never going to get anywhere. So I don't think them winning 14 games in the season is something they're going to repeat anytime soon.
Okay, okay. Well, I agree with you that they wouldn't repeat it if Darnold is the quarterback, without a doubt. I think in terms of the actual like roster in general and the coaching staff, there's ability there, but yeah, Darnold was just not the guy. And if anyone wants to know, Shane is a Jets fan, so he can attest to how bad Darnold is
Oh
at
yeah.
times. Of course, man, he had such a good regular season, but it felt like unless you had like this romantic feeling towards him that he was going to be good, like that you wanted him to be good, it just felt like this was bound to happen. Like,
I just didn't think going into this playoff game that as a team who'd won 14 games, I still didn't see them winning that game. Now, I didn't see it going as badly for them as it did, but to come out of that with 9 points, only one touchdown targeting TJ Hawkinson, and
yeah.
Justin Jefferson only seen the ball 5 times. It wasn't a surprise to me. It really wasn't a
Mm,
surprise. It's like as you said, maybe with if they got in a better quarterback, or if they got in, yeah, maybe just a quarterback would probably help a lot. But Sam Darnold is not the answer.
yeah.
He will be maybe one of the NFL's greatest kind of romanticized one season wonders with the season he just had with the Vikings. But aside of that, if they go forward with him, I think they're fighting a losing battle from the off,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. No, I agree. I don't think they will. To be honest, obviously they have JJ McCarthy there, so
Yeah, of course, yeah.
unfortunate injury for him at the start of the season. So he'll be the starter next year. And Kevin O'Connell, like what he's managed to do with Darnold if he can do something like that from the very start of a young quarterback's career, like with McCarthy, it could be special, I think. And obviously Brian Flores as defensive coordinator, just like top class. Obviously, it
Yeah,
didn't
he
work out
really
with
is.
him for him like as head coach of the Dolphins, but I think he'll get another head coaching job soon. But I actually wanted to say that for Darnold, like obviously he kind of shat the bed like a bit, but
Mm.
there was absolutely no running game from Aaron Jones. Like he wasn't
No,
offering anything. I think he had 48 yards. And I did look at his stats on the season then because I thought he was up and down the season, and he actually had the most yards he's ever had in the season, but he played the most games, so obviously that's what
that's
adds
going to
into that.
help. Yeah,
But he had 67 yards per game across the season. Now that was blown up with some games over 100 yards, but you have to show up in the playoffs. Like, and obviously when your quarterback is struggling like crazy, like for example, who I'm going to talk about next, Jalen Hurts, he was struggling, and Saquon, he didn't have the biggest game that he's ever had, but he's always there to bail you out. Like, so you
yeah.
do need
He's
that
always
running.
one. They can always trust that if Hurst is struggling with the ball in his hand or with his legs, that give the ball to Barkley, and he is more than likely going to make something happen. Like it's very rare where he doesn't make something happen. Now I know
Yeah.
he cost you, so you might be his biggest fan at the moment, but
Oh
like
man, no.
I think if anyone is going to do anything for a team, and if you need your running back to show up big time, it is going to be Barkley.
Yeah, what he's referencing there is I had a anytime touchdown score bet from all the games on the weekend, and Saquon was literally clean through to the house. I'm sure you've all seen it, and he slides to be a nice guy. Oh man, I'm a Giants fan. I have a Saquon jersey, and I was literally just wearing it in the gym. Like I still think he's such a good player, but that just rubbed more salt into the wounds after the big season he's had. But anything else on the Vikings before I jump over to Jalen Hurts?
No, I just think they really, really did. I just said they shut the bed big time, and like if they can get anywhere near to 14 wins again next season and get a playoff position, then I really do hope that they can do it with JJ McCarthy next year because like Jefferson, the season he's been having since he came into the league has been unbelievable, and then
Yeah.
to barely see the ball in a playoff game, it just I'd say he came off that game and he was livid. I'd say he was fuming.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say even if he probably thought to himself, even if he had Kirk Cousins there throwing him the ball, he would have.
Oh, 100%, yeah. He'd have seen more of it.
Yeah, but anyway, that's the Vikings. That's Shane's Sam Darnold rant over. He's not allowed to talk about him again until next season. That's it. I'm already marking that down.
Good.
But Jalen Hurts, anyways, who I want to talk about as my player from the NFL to focus on this week. So I'm kind of a bit of a Jalen Hurts apologist. Like I think people actually like dog him like a lot, and they give him like a lot of a bad rep.
Yeah.
Um, but like he's a very good quarterback. His record speaks for itself, and obviously he's not perfect as a passer. Like he wasn't meant to be a perfect passer. They
They
use so
didn't sign him
much.
to be they didn't sign him to be a perfect passer. They knew what he could do with his legs.
Yeah, so when you have both of those things going on, people are focusing on the wrong thing. I think they should just admire what they have there. And I think with Barkley there now, they complement each other so well. And he didn't have a good game against the Rams, but or not against the Rams, first the Packers. They're playing the Rams next, which is what I'll get onto. But against the Packers, like yeah, they scored 22 points. Not amazing. They He went 13 of 21, so 62%, 131 yards, two touchdowns. But he was only sacked twice. He doesn't get sacked much. I think his highest on the season was like five, obviously because he can run around a lot. But it's just a question: did that concussion he got against the Commanders really take a bit of wind out of his sails? Because I felt like he was on a good streak, and they end up losing that game when he went out. Then he's benched for a few weeks because of the injury, of course. Now he was only back to training late, and he didn't really look comfortable. Obviously, the Packers' great defense; they knew what they're doing. But realistically, they might come up against a tougher defense in this postseason, and will he be able to handle that?
100% I agree with you. I do think that the concussion definitely has done something to him because he doesn't want another knock to the head that could rule him out of potentially playing in another Super Bowl. So like at the weekend, he only rushed 6 times. Like that's not Jalen Hurts doesn't rush only 6 times. His average over the season, I think he rushed 150 times across the season. across 15 games he played. He was 12-3 across 15 games. He rushed 150 times. So he's averaging in around 10 a game. Like
Hmm.
I know it's a 6 from 10 is not a huge drop, but it is in terms of like if when one of the main focuses of your game is around him rushing and being able to trust he's going to rush, for him to drop that by four. I know they got away with it, but as you said, like if they come up against a stronger defense and he's not willing to go and rush it or not willing to run it, then they could really be in trouble. They could very quickly become unstuck.
I think the QB sneak as well obviously adds because they all count as a rush. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
again, he didn't do that in that game, which is another point. Obviously,
Mm.
they didn't have. I don't think they had a chance really to do it, but it's like one thing is like you're expecting at least one a game, and I don't know exactly, what the situation would be. If they were worried about if he did take another blow to the head or something like that. I don't think they would shy away from doing the tush push, like to be honest, because obviously it's basically a cheat code. If they're on the one, they're scoring a touchdown. That's just the way it
Yeah, and
works.
it's
And
like if they do need like a big 4-1, like there's no way you can go back and say, oh, throw the ball out wide there, find Devontae
yeah,
Smith or something. Like if you when you have that in your locker and you've been so good at it for the last 3 or 4 years, even not just the last 2 years,
hmm
like so, it is something that they rely on quite heavily that they need to be able to go into and use like when it's needed the most. Like as I said, a 4-1 or even a 3-1, or as you said
yeah,
on the 1 yard line. It's really important that they can continue to do that.
yeah. No, I agree, and I think across the season in general, I did want to not just hate on him. I wanted to say now he did have his highest completion percentage that he's
Mm.
ever had, so 68.7%. Now he rushed for kind of a similar amount of TDs that he usually does. I think it was 14 on the season. Last 2 years was
Yeah.
13 and 15. And then this last year he threw more touchdowns, so he threw 22. This season he threw 18, but he took 10 interceptions off, so only 5 all year and 15 last year. Like, that's a big difference. It shows that Saquon is alleviating a lot of those
A
times where he
hundred
doesn't just
percent,
have
yeah.
to fire the ball for no reason. It's into maybe coverage or something where he's trying to force the ball to AJ Brown. Because kind of you can see AJ Brown's antics on the sideline, like reading that book, kind of carry on. Like you can ignore that if you're just giving the ball to Saquon. Because what's AJ Brown going to do? Say don't give it to Saquon. I know he said already this season he wants more targets, but that's obviously the way to go. And Saquon against the Rams already this season when they won 37-20, he rushed for 255 yards.
Yeah.
His first game ever over 200 yards rushing. So, obviously that is the game plan they're going to go back to. I can't see Hurts having a huge throwing game here, but I
I don't think it's worth
also,
risking it either. Like Quinn Saquon has that in his back locker as well. Like he's done that already this season. There's literal proof that he can go and do that. There's no point throwing risky throws to AJ Brown over the top or trying to find Devontae Smith on a curl. Like there's just no point. You might as well give it to the man that's done the damage all season and just let him rip. Like I was going to say to there, so like his throwing yards dropped from 3,858 to 2,903. It goes to show how much he did trust Saquon over the season that he brought nearly the bones of 900 yards off his total throwing on the season. Goes to
yeah,
show that he was really able to go, okay, Saquon, we need this 10 yards here, go and get him. And like, and what he did across the season was just impeccable.
yeah,
Saquon Barkley, absolutely impeccable.
yeah, crazy. Very annoying as a Giants fan to have
Yeah.
seen him go, but look, that's the way it goes. I think, yeah, I'm going to actually talk a little small bit about kind of giving something away. Going to talk about that Rams Eagles game in one of our games, so I won't mention it now. But anything else on Hurt before we move on?
I think he needs to get his confidence back in his head, and if he does, then I think they're a real fighting chance for a Super Bowl here. But if he comes out again next week like he did this week, then I can
Yeah,
see the Rams kind of turn him over, and I don't think it will be a surprise if you watch the game from start to finish. If Hurts isn't there, then I think the Rams can do it.
yeah, yeah. No, I actually I do agree with you on that. But yeah, let's get into that a bit more in a few
Mhm.
minutes. So moving on now, the next segment is we're going to focus on soccer, football. So I'll go first this time. I've got the player again here. So of course I've gone with my one and only Bruno Fernandes. hated by every other fan, loved by United fans, even hated by some United fans if you're on Twitter enough. But I just think his leadership in the last few big games that we've had has been outstanding. Like that game against Arsenal, the way he just continued to prevail the whole game. Like I don't know how the man runs so much. First of all, obviously that stupid red card he got against Wolves helped him rest a little bit, but we'll ignore that for now. But like the whole 120 minutes non-stop running, organizing the team, him chatting to Amarim on the side to put Lisandro Martinez up top when he couldn't run anymore, constantly barking out orders. Yes, other fans can see that there is times he has a bad attitude. He does complain to the ref a lot, but when you have that on your side, you're gonna love somebody who demands more from the other players, and you can see how much passion he has for United, for the game in general. And I think his performance, firstly against Arsenal, and also moving further back from that, how he played against Liverpool was also excellent. And then earlier in the season, when we played against City, well, not earlier in the season, in December, I thought he was excellent as well. And he kind of took command in those three games, three big away games, and United performed in all those three games. They haven't performed in many others, but they performed in those.
Yeah, I think like as you know yourself, I'm not a Bruno fan. Like I really really dislike the man, but I think those three games you mentioned in particular, I think he's been absolutely exceptional. He ran the show at Anfield from start to finish. Completely dominated the midfield. A Liverpool midfield that hadn't been dominated really all season, like, and
Yeah,
Bruno came in and practically did it on his own. I think he missed the Newcastle game. Yeah, was it the
yeah,
Newcastle game?
yeah.
Yeah, and
Newcastle
you
game he's
could.
suspended. You
Yeah,
could
so
see that.
yeah, you could see the difference when he wasn't there against Newcastle compared to the two games he played since that Arsenal game at the weekend. Even the finish for to get put him 1-0 up is
Oh,
just
beautiful.
it's like he's caught it so sweetly and it's bounced up to him as well. So if
Yeah.
Harry Maguire could have gotten some tips from him, then you might have gotten a better result at Anfield. But like I think
uh,
it's not even about the goals he's scoring. As you said, he'd overtongue Amarim kind of barking orders left, right, and centre. He's looked more like a captain in the last months than he had in the previous 18 months. And it could be Amarim, Portuguese, Joe, like you never know kind of a difference that could make as well. But
true.
I think he has been exceptional, unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, I just think he's been so good. And I was looking at a couple of his stats, like, and I found it interesting that this season he's had the highest pass completion percentage he's ever had for United in the league. So 80.3%. Obviously, a lot of chances he creates might not get on the end of somebody's head, or balls he plays speculatively might not work out, but that's pretty high for an attacking midfielder,
Mm.
like considering all the chances he's created. So like in 2024, he had 99 chances created in the Premier League across the calendar year. That's the most. Only Palmer was close with 97. So that's a lot of chances. Obviously, United have historically, for the last few years, not been able to finish their dinner. But he's making the chances as well as kind of growing into this more controlled player where I think it was tough for him at first when Amarim came in for the first couple of weeks because he's used to wanting to play that killer pass, looking for the pass, but Amarim wants the ball to be controlled a bit more, and you could see him now consciously making that effort, but also telling other players, you need to play the ball backwards and sideways before trying to just launch a ball in hope, like over the top. So I think that side of his game has improved. Yeah, the goals and assists, of course, aren't everything, but in general, he has been very good for United. He has 86 goals and 76 assists in 262 appearances, so zero point 0.6 goals or assists per game. Like that's something that nobody else really has done since since we lost Ferguson. So, I think he's probably the best signing United have had since then, one of the only successful January transfers United have done in recent memory. So, I obviously as a United fan, I'm fully behind him. I think he is, you know, captain material. I did have doubts at times, but the last few games have kind of stabilized that for me as a belief that he is United's captain going forward.
I'm actually shocked at how high his goals and assists are there. I didn't realize it was at zero point 0.6. So he's averaging a goal or assist every second game, really, which If you have
Hmm.
someone in midfield that's doing that, if you could have a striker that was taking the 99 chances, obviously not all 99, but if you had a striker who was taking 30 of the 99 chances he's made in
Yeah.
2034, you're like it's a massive, massive difference for a team. Like I think if he can kind of balance what he was doing at the start, where he was scoring 20 odd goals in his first year, if he can get a balance of getting 20 goals and assists across the season, as well as the leadership he's shown, the passes into space, if he can get all that in one goal, then I think you really do have a player on your hands again who, like, with confidence, he is unbelievable. But
Yeah.
I really hope he crushes and burns.
So for those of you who don't know, Shane is a Liverpool fan, so obviously bit of hatred there towards Bruno. But I think one thing I was looking at as well is that like this season, I think the most assists he's had in one season. I don't think I made note of it. I think it was something like maybe apart from that one season where he went mad. I think across the last few seasons he's had like 13 assists per season in the league or in all competitions, and this season he's had 11. So
Okay.
his assist numbers are coming up closer, and we're only like what 60% through the season. So like I think obviously he is a man for a goal, and generally his goal numbers have been higher than his assists, but looks like his assists are coming up. So if we could, as you said, if we could have somebody who would take some more of those chances, Hoyland hopefully gets going eventually. But
Or
we do need
Xerxes,
another. Yeah,
either one.
Xerxes. We do need another striker though, like a consistent goal scorer. But maybe we'll take Chris Wood. Sure, he did damage to you last night.
That man is having. We'll come on to him now in a couple of minutes. Actually, I won't give thanks away, but he's just.
Yeah, no, you do need a proper striker. But yeah, I think to kind of put a bow on the Bruno conversation, I'm very happy with how he's performed. And I think, obviously, my opinion and how I feel about him doesn't mean anything, but Amarim is clearly happy with him. And, they're kind of working well together. And I think the fan base in general, from what I can see, is getting behind him as a captain, which I'm happy about. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I've got to say on Bruno. So he's my player to chat about for this week, and Shane had the team to talk about. So who have you got this week?
I have picked the team that did a bit of damage to Liverpool for 45 minutes last night, and I've gone with Nottingham Forest. I think the season they're having is just it's out of this world. It really is. Like what they're doing. 6 wins and a draw in their last seven. Did six in a row until the Liverpool match last night. I think they went 7 hours without conceding a goal in the Premier League before shot his header. I think the improvement they did in the summer, or the last 2 summers even, like they signed Murillo and Sells for a combined 17 million. And those two last night were the two best players on the pitch for either team. I think taking Elliot Anderson and getting rid of Odysseys, the goalkeeper that no one wants, has like Elliot Anderson last night was also incredible. Ryan Yates in midfield looks like a man reborn, and he's only 26 to 27. Like I think what Forest are doing to be second in the league after where they were last year, it's insane. Especially around what they did at the back, like bringing in Milenkovic. That was the third goal they conceded from corners last night in the season.
Yeah.
I think last season they had 23 goals conceded from corners. Like it goes to show that if you can bring someone in and then get them in the right places at the right times, like I think Nuno's management it deserves an awful lot of credit this season because he was out on his feet. He was out the back doors first. They like no, they wanted nothing to do with it. And the Forest took a big chance in getting rid of Steve Cooper, who the fans absolutely loved. The fans
Hmm.
weren't too enamored now when they brought in Nuno. Like they
No.
were really kind of, oh, how is this the next move? How is this the option we're taking? And they've reaped the rewards massively. The recruitment has been brilliant. The players are all playing together as a team. Chris Wood is having the season of his life. It's outrageous. Like, everything he touches at the moment seems to turn to a goal. That goal
Yeah.
he scored against Everton with Elanga, himself and Elanga doing a 1-2 of headers. It's
Yeah.
like that's not the kind of thing that's going to last all. It's not going to last forever. Like, but they really are making the most of what they have at the moment. And if they continue like this, I don't see why they can't finish in the top five. Get an
Yeah.
all, maybe get a Champions League place. I just don't see them dropping like a stone at the moment.
No, I think they're going to get top four. To be honest, I think that stability in defense will get you there as long as you're winning the games you should win. and challenging like they did last night. Now I know in the second half it was just like muck, like they were just
Mm.
not they didn't care as long as they didn't concede. And then when they did concede, they were like, okay, we're not conceding again. We're not going to try win. But like, look, they're playing Liverpool. They weren't expected to even touch a top team in this season, and you are top of the league. Liverpool are top of the league, and they beat you once and drew again the second time.
Mm.
So they are performing in big games. So as long as they can continue to knock off the smaller teams, then I think they will finish in the top four. I think they have that kind of makeup of a team that could do that, and the way that they can defend is just it's just so good. They've 20 goals conceded, I think, in the league this season in total, and they've scored 30. So not a big scoring number, but look, when Chris Wood is banging in chances very handily, like I think he's 22 games in the league so far, 12 goals, and that's from 7.5 xG. So
He's
like he's
doubled it nearly.
overperforming it, yeah. Like, and he's had only 22 shots on target, so he's scoring more than like pretty much one of every his second shot on target he's scoring a goal from, and one of every like three shots he's scoring because he's only had 37 shots. Like that is clinical. And if you
That's
have a
yeah, that's
striker like
outrageous.
that, like if you have somebody like that, then I think there's no reason why you can't finish in the top four now. I don't think Chris Wood is going to do this for like 5 seasons, but he's doing it now, and that's all that matters.
Like I don't want to say that I think Forest are going to win the league because I really don't. But I think there is a lot of like very good comparisons you can use with the Leicester team that did go on and
Mm,
win the league. Like
yeah,
if you look at the like Leicester centre back partnership that season was Wes Morgan and Robert Hughes. Like
yeah,
so they like that should never be a Premier League winning centre back partnership. Now maybe Marilla Milenkovic will go on and they could go on and be a Premier League winners for someone else. But
yeah,
like the partnership they've built together has been incredible from the start of the season. It's like they've been playing together for years and years. Like that has clicked so well. Anderson and Yates in midfield, like that in the midfield too has clicked so well as well. They're just bossing everyone around the place. And then the
yeah.
two wingers and Chris Wood are all playing out of their skin. And like the two wingers were lads that they weren't wanted by
No,
clubs who are now behind him in the league. So like Elanga was at
yeah,
United, he was dubbed out. Callum Hudson-Odoi, Chelsea couldn't wait to get rid of him. Chris Wood's a bit of a journeyman to be fair. Like, it's kind of even going on the fullbacks, like Nico Williams, Liverpool couldn't go away to get rid of him. He was Marshall Salah to been into his life last night. Ona
hmm
Aina is just I think he's incredible. I really do. I think he's a
he was
proper
one of the best players
proper
on the
right
pitch
back.
last.
He's up and down that line and he never slows down. In the 90th minute he'll be running as fast as he was in the first minute. I think he's out of contract at Forest in the summer, and I think there could be some like Man City now need a right back if Walker is gone off to Italy or whatever. So wouldn't be surprised if Olena did end up going to a team that'd be kind of a regular top six team. Although I would like to see Forest get that top four and break it again for the second season in a row.
Yeah, well, I think Liverpool might need a right back
Mm,
if it's gone walkabout. So that kind of
yeah.
effort, though, it shows like if a player can run like that the whole game, it does make a little bit of a show. Of somebody like Trent who sometimes can decide not to put in the effort. It shows like that little bit of extra effort that you need to make can be put in there. And this team is going very well, but that's the reason why they're not going, oh, we're second now, we're just chilling. They're like, we want to continue and push on. And that's why I think, yeah, that kind of comparison to Leicester is a pretty good one now. I agree with you. I don't think they're going to win the league, but there is that comparison to be made there, and they're not slowing down. They're second in the form table at the minute. Only Newcastle are ahead of them. So you know, let's see what happens this season. But yeah, exciting team, and definitely, yeah, I like that pick as your team to chat about. So anything else on Forest?
I just think they've very quickly become one of those teams that everyone is watching for the results now. Kind of themselves, Brentford, Brighton, everyone. So you have your main team. You'll be looking at, oh, how did Liverpool get on? How did United get on? Oh, how did Forest do? How did Brighton do? I think
True.
like that's a massive compliment from like Brighton is so many people's second teams would say. I would
Hmm.
don't personally believe in having a second team myself, but
No.
they're like but Brighton are the team a lot of people look out for, and I think over the next 3 or 4 years, Forest will be like, oh, how did Forest do this week? Oh, they won again. What a surprise! Like I do think I can see them being an established Premier League team again now.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that with Brentford. I really like the football they play, and I like Thomas Frank,
Mm.
so I'd be checking like how they get on pretty much all the time. And I think they might put it up to you a small bit at the weekend. Tough one.
I think they
They're
definitely
very good
will.
at home as well. So there's
Mm.
that. But anyway, so that was kind of our football segment wrapped up. So we're going to get into our first game that we have. So the name of this game is Gone Chance. So a bit of Irish referee or No Chance or Without Chance basically is the direct translation. Basically means we're going to pick underdogs in each sport. So the stipulations we have in place are that the team has to be playing an odds-on favourite the following weekend for the NFL and the English Premier League. And then in the NBA, the odds aren't out yet for the games that we're going to be picking for the following weekend because we're recording this ahead of time. Recording this on Wednesday, and the games are going to be playing on like Saturday, Sunday, Friday night. So odds aren't out yet for those. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to have the team has to be playing a team that has five or more wins more than them. So they're wins worse off, at least, than them to be the underdog. So who have you got for each of yours?
So I'm going to go in the Premier League. I'm absolutely backing Unai Emery's Aston Villa to go to Arsenal and pick up 3 points. I think Arsenal will be going into that game off a really tough one tonight against Spurs, and then Villa. Villa hate Arsenal because they have Unai Emery and what they did to Emery, the way he treated every time he goes there. And I think at 5-1, I think Villa are a great shout. Stick a fiver on them.
Five to
Arsenal are
one is
struggling
good.
to score from open play. Villa's set piece coach Austin McPhee is an absolute superstar. He doesn't get the plaudits that Arsenal's fella gets, but I think he is definitely up there as well. So I could definitely see Villa going away at Arsenal 5-1 and winning. Arsenal are there. I think they're just under 2-1. I don't think they're worth it. I
One
think
to
get
two.
on
One.
Villa 1-2. Sorry,
Yeah.
I think get on Villa. Villa are going to go and do it.
Yeah. No, I
And for
agree.
my NFL one, I think the Washington Commanders are going to end the
Oh,
dream of the Detroit Lions.
oh,
I think
uh,
it's one of those fairy tale stories. They're 7-2.
oh,
The
oh.
Lions are 1-8. I think the Commanders, Jalen Daniels to go find Terry McLaurin a hatful of times. I think it would be a bit of a shootout. We know the Lions love a shootout, but the
Yeah, I agree
Lions
with that.
the Lions do lose a shootout. And I
Ooh,
can see the Commanders being the next one. They're going to be the dream killer for another year, I think. And
okay,
finally,
okay.
I'm going to go for a completely outrageous one
Give us
in
it.
the NBA. I
Mm-hmm.
think the Pelicans are going to beat Dallas, the Mavericks.
Oh, not a bad shout. Not a bad shout.
I think it's one of those games when they're in the part where they're playing games pretty much every day at the moment. And I think shocks like this do happen across these games. So I can definitely see the Pelicans going and kind of bringing Dallas down to their level instead of Dallas keeping their own level, and the Pelicans come out by a point or two, winning it, getting their ninth win of the season.
Yeah, no, I think I could see that happening to be honest, because obviously with Luca's injury and Zion coming back into the squad now, God knows if he's actually going to play or not. Yeah, I
Mm.
could actually see that happening. But I've gone for something a little bit different in the NBA. I've gone for the Hornets to beat the Bulls. So the Hornets are eight. They have 8 wins so far, and the Bulls have 18 wins. So there's a
Mm.
10-win gap there. They've played twice already this season. The Bulls have won both, or maybe three times actually. I'm not 100% sure. But the last game that they played, it did go to overtime, and that was when the Hornets didn't have Brandon Miller or LaMelo Ball. So I think they might do a job on them here. I just don't rate the Bulls, and I feel like they might just start losing on purpose pretty soon because things are just going absolutely nowhere for them. I could see them just randomly, deciding, look, this is it, trading away half their team. Look, they've been trying to do that for a while, or half
Yeah,
trying. God knows what they're at. But yeah, I could just see an upset there for the Hornets. So that's Friday night, that game.
I think
Then,
that is one of those games that if everyone would think of it an upset until they see the result, they're like, oh well, we shouldn't
yeah,
have been looking at this as an upset because the Pelicans are getting the main men back. The Bulls, as you said, are they're going to start falling like a stone soon. This could
yeah,
just be the one. This could be the one that starts this tumble down the conference.
yeah, yeah, true. And then for NFL, look, I can't agree with you there with the Commanders. I just think the Lions, after a week off, I think they'll just be around to go. But look, I have to respect it. You've gone bold with that one, like a 1-8 favorite, and you've gone against them. I've gone for kind of coming back to what we discussed earlier, the Rams knocking off the Eagles. So the Rams are 9-4, the Eagles are 4-11, favorites at home. But I just think the Rams want to get to that game against the Lions so badly. It doesn't matter. They'll just do whatever it takes to get there. Especially after what Campbell said to Kevin O'Connell after they beat the Vikings. He said, "I'll see you back here in 2 weeks." I think I saw something that Sean McVay has that like in the locker room or something. And he's such like a maniac. If he wants to get something done, he's gonna get it done. He's an absolute football genius. And he's gonna look at what the Packers did last week and he's gonna say, how do we do that? How do we confuse Jalen Hurts? How do we slow Saquon down? Because he just copies little things from other teams. He does little things simply. I think Jordan Rodrigue covers the Rams, the Athletic. I think she said one of the best kind of summations of the way the Rams play was like they focus on one thing and they just beat you to death with it. They don't just try and over scheme you. They just find one weakness and they will kill you with that weakness. And you saw it last week. They absolutely demolished Arnold, like 9 sacks. I don't think they're going to sack Jalen Hurts 9 times, but they'll do something else, in my opinion, that will get them the win. So that's my pick there for the NFL. Then moving on to soccer, got a bit mad here. I'm going with Ipswich to knock off City. So City are 1-3 favourites, and Ipswich are 7-1. Now, might be a bit mad, right? But Ipswich are at home. I know City kind of battered them earlier in the season, but at times they've looked okay at home. They're not on the worst run, and I think City are just there for the taking by absolutely anybody. Just the way things are going, they're just in the toilet at the moment. And last night being 2-0 up, 82nd minute, Brentford come back 2-2. I don't see any reason why Ipswich couldn't do something similar. I think if Ipswich take an early lead, they're playing with fire there, and I think City will beat them. But if it is like 1-0 with 15 minutes left or something like that, then that's a recipe for disaster for City. So I'm going with Ipswich as mine. And I didn't say at the top, but we'll get 1 point each for getting like one or two correct, and then we'll get five if we get all three of these correct. So keep a bit of a leaderboard going, see how we're getting on as the season progresses.
I think your Ipswich shout is it is probably as outrageous as my Commanders one is, but it's one of those as well that you can absolutely see it happening if with the way Delap and Smolix have been playing together. Like as you said, if it's 1-0 on 75 and City are starting to blow up like they've been doing for the last 6 or 8 weeks, you could see one of them coming off the bench and feeding the other one, or the two of them going from the start and just
Hmm.
terrorizing whatever malformation Pep goes in at the back this week. Like I think it is very believable, but
Yeah,
we'll have to wait and
and I
see.
think the lap didn't get his goal against them last time, so he'll
Yeah,
want it this time around.
100%.
But those are our picks for the first game. So that's our conscience. So we're going to move into our final sport. That's going to be NBA. So I'll let you go first. You had player for this, I believe. So you're going to go ahead and focus on a player who've you got.
I'd like to talk about Jalen Green,
There
the
we go.
Rockets, the Rockets man. I wouldn't say main man, but the man who probably should be the Rockets main man. I think his inconsistency across this season has been something to behold. After the contract he got in the summer, it's just like, and then you wonder if it's somewhere, oh, this is a tradable contract, it's a tradable contract. He
Yeah,
scored 42 against Memphis the other night,
yeah.
which was double his
Crazy,
season average.
crazy.
He's doubled his season average. He's averaging 21 across the season. Like if
Hmm.
you're going to be the main shooter on a team that's pushing top end of the playoffs, like you have to be averaging more than 21 if you're going to be the main man. Like his threes are quite good. He's 34% from three across the league, which is in and around the league average, which is 34.5%.
Mm,
In December, he was turned the ball over 2.4 times a game. He's thankfully brought that down to 1.7. But
mm.
even 1.7 is too high. Like if you're going to be the main kind of you're the main target for the ball, everything is going through you. You need to be consistent. He's had four good games in a row now after three terrible ones. Like he could very easily go and have another three terrible games in a row. Rockets come out of it 1-2, and it's not as rosy as it was there a week ago. So if he's going to be the man you're building around and you're not going trading for a big man, then you just need him to show up week on week, keep the turnovers down, keep the shots going in, bring the percentage from three up even. I know like the league average is great, but again, if you're pushing for a potential championship in the next 2 or 3 years, you need your main three shooter to be above the average. You need him to be hitting 40%, would say.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think I agree with you. It is inconsistency. It's obviously very annoying to watch as a fan of the Rockets, like as you are. I think to watch a player who you know has a lot in him, but then sometimes he just seems like he decides, nah, not tonight. And I don't know if that's an accurate estimate, like summation of him, but like I feel like that is what he does because he has that ability. And like I looked at like how he's played in January this so far has been excellent. Like he had 5 wins in 6 games. Obviously, he had that 48-point game, which does bring up his average, but in January he has 27.5,
Mm,
6 points per game. And another thing I thought he's averaging two steals or blocks in January, which is up from his season of average of 1.3.
yeah.
So he is like performing better this month. I hope it can continue, but previous kind of performances will tell us that it probably won't continue. And yeah, that contract they gave him, obviously it's a lot of money, but it's kind of a bit of a, you're not our main guy. That contract.
Mm,
That's what that
definitely.
tells
It,
me
it it is
because
one of those. It's one of those. We had to give him something. Let's give him a kind of we can get out of jail free with this one.
yeah,
It's a contract like that where they had to give him something. It's like, oh well, we can get him gone if we need to get him gone.
yeah. No, I think yeah, that's pretty much exactly what it is. And I think they will get him gone. I'll be honest. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of will they move picks as well and try and get someone big in. But I think regardless of all of that, they will trade him away, and a team will take him.
Mm,
And he is a good player. Obviously, he's an excellent player when he wants to be. But I don't think you would, as you mentioned, win a championship. I don't think you're going to win a championship with him as one of your main like two guys.
no.
Like you have Shengun there. You just need to give him somebody else and give him someone that's a bit more consistent or somebody who you know exactly what they're going to give you every night. And I think
So
that's that's important.
if you're guaranteed 30 points a night from Jalen Green, you take the 30 points a night every day of the week instead of him getting 42 this week, 17 next week. His
Yeah,
average is still going to be 30 points across the two games, but he helps you more if he's scoring 30 in both rather than blowing up in one game and just not showing up for the next one.
yeah.
Like across the season, he has 89 total turnovers.
Hmm.
That's again for one of your top two. Like you can't be turning the ball over that much. You can't be turning it over an average of five or
Mm.
six times a game. You're
And
giving away 3 points.
his assist numbers are pretty bad as well. Like
Yeah, they're
so,
not good.
so I,
He's down in assists across the season than he was. It's lower. His assists this season are lower than his average in the NBA as well.
I think if he wasn't, say you would say okay, if he's turning the ball over, but he's very creative, he's getting 8 9 assists per game. He's not. He's
Nowhere
turning
near
the ball
us.
over and he's not feeding his teammates, and he has players there that want to be fed. So, I think, yeah, that game against the Grizzlies was exceptional. He went 5 of 6 from three, 13 of 18 from the field, 72%, 83%. That's just an outlier, of course.
Mm.
Nobody's going to perform like that all the time. But if you know he has that in him, then you don't want to be seeing these random 13, 12-point games all too often. So, yeah, I agree pretty much with everything you've said on him there. Yeah, anything else on him?
No, I think, like as I said, I think we both think he will be traded away probably at the end of the season or the end of next season. But I would really love if he turned into a player that I know he can be because when we did draft him, I was so excited. I thought this is an
Yeah,
unbelievable pick after getting him at a good time, good part of his development. Now, if he can just develop and move on, he's still young, so there is still time, but we'll have to wait and see how he goes in the next 18 months.
yeah. I think the forgiving factor with that is that you've drafted so well as outside of that too that it's
Yeah,
not
massively.
you don't have to worry too much on that one. But so Jalen Green is the player where we talked about, but we're going to stay in the West for the team that we're going to talk about, and it's going to be the Sacramento Kings. Now, Sacramento Kings don't get a whole lot of pop across the NBA in general. Like if you listen to NBA, anything NBA related, or you watch NBA media, anything to do with that, like they're kind of one of those teams that people don't want to talk a whole lot about, and then bang, everybody wanted to talk about them when they fired Mike Brown. Is there drama there? Is there something with the Iron Fox and him? Like it's crazy. This one little bit of thing suddenly gets eyes on them. But like, I think at the start of the season, I wrote an article about things that were going to happen this NBA season, in my opinion, and I put the Kings as my surprise package to be a good team, and they were looking like that was looking like a ridiculous thing to say like 10 games ago. Now they were on a 7 game win streak. They did lose last night to the Bucks to end that streak, but of course they're not going to win every game. But they were on a 7 game win streak before that, in which they beat the Celtics, they beat Memphis, and they beat Dallas. And they scored 129 points against the Warriors, 138 against Memphis. These are good defenses. And what I did right at the start of the season is this team can score. If they go back to what they did the last couple of seasons, especially the season where they finished, I think, third seed in the West, like that was the season Mike Brown won Coach of the Year. He got them into the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. And then all of a sudden he's fired. Now, I don't know what went on in the background there. Now, with Doug Christie in charge on an interim basis, it looks like everybody's kind of singing from the same hymn sheet a little bit more. I don't really know, was a little cooling off period of De'Aaron Fox not playing consistently. Was there maybe something going on there? I know, he was obviously injured, he couldn't play, but was that little removal of him from the team and Mike Brown from the team could focus on basketball. Malik Monk was turning up like he hasn't done all season. Mike Brown was messing around with him way too much this season. He was runner up of six man of the year last season. And Mike Brown was just chopping him in and out of the lineup all season long. Now this month he's finally turned things a bit around. 23 points on average in January and 8 assists. Then you look at October, he had 12 points per game. November, 16 points per game. December, 16 points per game. Now he's up to 23. It's a smaller sample size, but, him and Sabonis performing well together keep Monk on a good, consistent basis. Like, they lost last night, but Monk wasn't playing. I do think he's a huge X factor for this team with what he can do off the bench. So I'm not going to say anything about Mike Brown because I don't know the situation there. Realistically, no one really knows what went on. We will find out. But I'm not going to say anything about Fox or about Mike Brown. I'm going to say something about the Kings, that they have this in them. They're a good team. They can't really defend, but they've never been known for defense with the players they have right now. They just need to keep scoring the way they're scoring. If they score like this, they can blow any team away. If
100%.
they
Like
just get into the playoffs, like,
yeah, yeah, it's very easy. Like, so they're up now to 20 and 20, so they're up to 500.
yeah,
I know it's a far more competitive conference than it is on the East, but 20 and 20, they're what are they? I think they're 10th at the moment. So, like, if they can continue their run, as you said, they lost last night, but that 7 game winning run brought them up to this place, so they could be 500 and getting back into the play-in picture.
yeah,
Like, there's no one that wants to play them in a play-in match.
no,
If they keep doing what they're doing, nobody's going to want to take them on. And if they can keep up a run of winning games, they can win. At the moment, they're 7-3 in their last 10. If they
yeah.
can keep up kind of a run like that, then no one's going to want to play them in a playing match. I really don't think they would. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want the Rockets to play them at any point.
Yeah, no, and like what they did last year, it was obviously underwhelming. Like they knocked the Warriors out in the first round of the play-in, and then they lost to the Pelicans. It's just like that was a real letdown from the season previous, where they were only just knocked out of the playoffs because of Steph having an all-time game in a game seven. Like I think it was unfortunate that things regressed last year, but Brown as a coach, I don't think he should have been fired. But if there's something going on in the background which we don't know, so we can't decide if that's a good thing or not. Clearly, the basketball is better right now, and that's the thing that matters. And they're kind of clearly clicking on the court. You have DeRozan playing a little bit better. He has struggled to settle in there, but I do think as time goes on, he will be good, especially if it gets to the postseason. You have last year's winner of Clutch Player of the Year and last year's
Yeah,
runner-up of Clutch Player of the Year on the same team. If you get into the playoffs, just give them the ball for the last few minutes, and they could turn
100%.
anything around. So I might be going a bit over the top here on the Kings, but I do like the way they play basketball. I just like watching them play, and I don't know. I just think that they're a team definitely that shouldn't be written off, and I was close to writing them off myself given their start of the season, but now something has kind of switched.
Big time. I think, as you said, like they have the clutch players. They have the runner up in the 6 man of the year last year. I think if you can get the three of them on the court with 5 minutes to go, if they're within 10 or 12 points, and you have those three firing, then they're a match for anyone on their day. They really are a match for anyone. And over a series, I know kind
Hmm.
of like the whites come out of the wash over a series, but you never know. Like they could very easily get to 4 games before anyone else can in the series.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think if they just get on a proper scoring run against somebody, it's just hard to slow them down. Like you said, those guys on the floor, any lead is not a real lead until the game is over.
Mm.
So that also plays into the minds of an opponent in a series. They're like, oh, we can't take off our best players with 5 minutes left because this crowd could score 20 points in 5 minutes. So I think that's a big thing too. But yeah, I really like the Kings. Hopefully, we'll be talking about them in the postseason because I do want to see them there. So we've covered the NBA, the NFL, soccer, and we've got our first game in. So this is our second game. It's the multi-sport power rankings. So this is 6 teams, two from each sport, ranked from 1 to 6. So both going to go through our rankings, and then we're going to have a chat about them. Now we've kind of looked at how teams have played across the season since this is our first one. But if teams are performing exceptionally well or they're on a good run, as this kind of progresses, we will move them in, not just the teams at the top. But for now, we've gone with teams who've been good all season but are still playing well right now. So they're also ranked who we think. And it's quite difficult to rank across sports, but what I've gone with is the Cleveland Cavaliers at 1, Detroit Lions number 2, Buffalo Bills 3. I've gone with your Liverpool at 4, Forest, who, just we talked about them. What a team at 5, and then the Oklahoma City Thunder at 6. So who have you got?
So I have the Boston Celtics at 1. I also have the Lions at 2, despite me backing them to lose this weekend. I do still think they are absolutely incredible. I've gone
Hmm.
for Newcastle United at 3. I have the
Yeah, I like
Rockets
that.
at 4, Liverpool at 5, and the Chiefs. I think they had to get in there, so I put them in at number 6 because they are still on for the three-piece.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think looking at how teams played, I really like that Newcastle pick. They were If Forest hadn't been going so well, I would have put Newcastle in. It's just Newcastle have been excellent recently, and I just felt like, oh, I have to put Forest in. I have to give them the shout. But I like that Newcastle pick. I do also like the Rockets pick, given how they're going across the season. Celtics, interesting. What do you think there?
I think the Celtics are, if anyone is going to win an NBA title at a canter, I think it would be the Celtics of the teams that are up there. I know the Cavaliers have been insane across the whole season. Again, 9-1 in their last 10. But this Cavaliers team is just after coming out of nowhere. Like they weren't doing this last year, whereas the Boston Celtics were doing this last year. And it'd be very Boston Celtics could click into gear at any point and just go on a 10, 11, 12 game winning run that brings them into the postseason quite nicely. So I think, as I said, if anyone's going to win the NBA title at a canter, it will be the Celtics and not the Thunder, not the Cavaliers. It'll be the Celtics, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That I think they're the team that looks the most championship ready. Obviously,
Mm,
they just won it, so of course they're championship ready. I do like the Thunder. The reason I put them at 6 is because of the Cavs just recently making them look silly,
yeah,
and how well the Cavs have played across the whole season. And I just like continuity. I like a team that has played together for a long time in the NBA, players that have played together. But there's too much chopping and changing, as we've seen with what the Sixers are doing. God, I just despise what they're putting out on the court. I'm a Sixers fan. It's just god awful. But, continuity there with the Cavs, how well they're playing. Similar thing with OKC. They have continuity, but the Cavs did kind of show them up, and that's what pushed them to the top because I think those two teams are massive powerhouses in their respective sport,
big
but
time.
one just beat the other and quite well. So I think that put them first for me. Lions, obviously, as we both discussed, they don't really need to be talked about how good they are. Bills. Now I have the Bills at 3. That is because of how good they are at home. The reason I think they will get to the Super Bowl is because of how good they are at home. Obviously, they would be playing the Chiefs away if it did go that way, but I think they could beat the Chiefs. I just think they have that ability. They've already shown it this season. But they're 9-0, I think, at home this season, including the playoffs. So I just think they will beat the Ravens. I think that's going to be such a close game, but that home kind of advantage is just swinging it for me. So that's why I've gone for that. And then obviously I've got Pool fourth, just flying it across Europe, Europe and in the Premier League, unfortunately. But yeah.
I think the thing with for me with the Bills. is like the home form is as good as you're saying, but going to Arrowhead
Mm,
Championship, it's a different story. Like the Chiefs, there's the reason Chiefs have won the last two, and start of the season they get talked down at the start of every season because they don't have elite weapons as wide receivers. They don't have elite running backs. Like yeah, Pacheco is excellent. He missed nearly, if not more than half the season. In comes Kareem Hunt and bang, he's back to the fella he was 4 years ago. It's like the Chiefs just
yeah,
know how to do it on Championship Day. And going to Arrowhead, like you never know, Joe. There's a reason that they haven't won there the last two times they've gone there.
true.
I think it's very difficult to go to Arrowhead and win it in the championship game to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue with that given the fact how the Chiefs have performed. They just know how to win, and that just matters so much in the playoffs.
Mm.
And I hope they don't. I hope they don't win it again because I would like to see a
Yeah,
different winner. But like I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And I kind of wrote a piece recently about how I thought they wouldn't win it because I just didn't buy into the fact that they would do the three-peat, just considering how hard it is to do that. And
there's a reason it's
you
never been
know,
done before.
yeah, but it's
It
hard to
is.
argue with them as well at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I like your lineup, and I think we're gonna get that out on social media, and we're gonna see how that evolves as the season goes. Obviously, the NFL is winding down, so we'll probably do three soccer and three NBA for the few months there, and then we'll think of something a bit different in the summer to mess around with. But that's our first power rankings. Let us know if there's anything you would change, or if you want to give your power rankings across the three leagues. That'd be pretty fun too. So let us know. So, any other business to end the episode?
I have one I'd like to come on to, and I haven't really told you much about this now, so it's coming as much of a surprise to you as it
Let's
is to
do it.
everyone else.
Let's do it.
But Luis Diaz as a striker, I'm not having
Oh,
this. Not having this. I think I'd rather, and this is hard for me to say because I'm really disliking him at the moment, but I'd rather be starting Nunes. Obviously, I'd take Jota every day of the
oh,
week as the starting striker,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's shown in the last couple of games. Okay, they had a great run where Diaz was a striker, but the Leicester game, it didn't work. We got lucky. United game, it clearly didn't work. He was pulling left too much. And last
hmm
night it didn't work. Everyone was like, oh, he's the next Firmino, he's the next this, he's the next that. He's
No,
not.
no.
Like if Firmino was never talked about as being a winger. Diaz is a winger who's been shoehorned into number nine at the moment. And I think if we are going to go on and win this title, I think getting an actual number nine back up there, and hopefully it is Jota when he's back to fitness, but I think Diaz put him back on the left for he started the season on fire from the left. I'd eat a
Yeah.
couple of humble pies because I gave him awful abuse at the end of last season, but I think putting him through the middle is kind of showing me that I was semi-right again to get him back out in the ring, get him back out on the left wing, and get a number nine through the middle again.
Yeah, I actually I agree with you, and I think that idea, obviously, what is it like that? The plan would be for him to drop when he's there, but he doesn't really, as you said, he pulls left. He doesn't really know how to drop because he's not a natural player in that position. Honestly, if you could wind back time and give you Firmino of years ago, how well he would fit in there right now. Honestly, Gakpo would be better there. But Jota, obviously, I think is the
Yeah,
best option
it's Jota
because
is the
he
one.
he can drop and how he can play, and when you have Salah running off him, and even if you have Diaz running off him on the left, that would work way better than Diaz being the one up front. And yeah, I don't think it has worked, but I liked you bringing this little gripe you had to the end of the podcast to air out your laundry at the end.
Yeah, it's something that I don't need to go to counselling now for next week because I've gotten that off my chest. That's over and done with for another
I'll
week.
think I'll think of something I can gripe about next week to throw in at the end. But yeah, so that's pretty much it, unless you have anything else.
No, all good for me.
Yeah, so lads, I hope you enjoyed the first episode. Leave a review or a like. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like and subscribe. If you're listening on any of your podcast apps, just leave us a 5-star review if you can, or just subscribe to it, share it around. Let us know what you thought. We want to hear what you think of it. And we'll be back again next week, and we'll have some more teams, some more games, and we'll have a lot more to chat about. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll chat to you again next week.
Brilliant. Thanks so much.